Indy Studios. This is Playoff Central Live, brought to you by AT&T 5G. I'm Kristen Ledlow, alongside a couple of coaches, and Lloyd Pierce here, Sam Mitchell down there. And we've got all of your post-game coverage with players and coaches taking the podium from both the Phoenix Suns and the Denver Nuggets. It was another stunning, I mean, we're laughing because how much fun was it to watch those CP highlights down the stretch?
Yeah, the way he's playing right now, to think about the injury that he had early in the playoffs and the way he's bounced back and played and his assist level, the way he's getting everyone involved, it's just amazing. And the thing that I like about him, he's getting everyone involved, but he's picking and choosing his spots offensively to where he's getting his chances, he's taking advantage of it. And right now, the only thing I'm going to say, and Coach will tell you this, as bad as Denver have looked on the road, once you go home, that narrative can change because the team gets some confidence, sleeping in their own bed. So right now it looks like total domination, but again, we'll see when Denver gets home how they play.
Look, though, at this. 17 points, 15 assists. Again, not a single turnover. His third career playoff game with at least 15 dimes and 0 turnovers. That breaks a tie with each of your favorite players in Magic Johnson for the most since the three-point era began back in 1980. How much fun was it to watch Chris in this one?
Well, I think for Phoenix, they're sky high in confidence. They've played well at the end of the Lakers series, and they've come out and dominated this series thus far. And you can tell how much fun they're having. You see Jay Crowder insert the toughness into that team. You see guys like Dario Saric and Mikal Bridges have great games. Cam Payne is an energizer when he gets in the game. But the entire team is having fun. They're playing with confidence. They're getting out in the open court and getting some easy opportunities. But Chris Paul is the leader of all that. He had 0 turnovers, but as a team, they had 7 turnovers. So they're managing the game at a very efficient rate, and they're getting stops and playing with pride. And then they're creating easy opportunities for themselves, as you're seeing Devin Booker get a steal and an easy dunk.
Coach Michael Malone has just sat down at the podium. Let's go ahead and get to him live.
Game seemed to flip in those first few minutes. What did you see to start the second half when obviously they seized momentum and kind of carried that to the end?
I saw one team that wanted to be here and play with a purpose and urgency, and one team that did not want to be here and play with no urgency. And that's why we got our ass kicked.
Katie Wingy, Altitude Sports.
Hey, Coach, when they're sinking as much as they did defensively tonight, what can you do to counter that, especially when you aren't hitting shots from deep?
I don't know. Okay, I'll have to watch the film. We had a lot of guys play really bad tonight, and then we allowed the impact of not making a shot to affect the other end. And it was really, I mean, playoff basketball. Can you sit down and guard one-on-one? This was just an embarrassing performance all the way around, from top to bottom.
Jacob Toby, 9 News Denver.
Coach, was there anything with Michael that you talked about with the back or anything? I mean, how's he feeling after? And did he look right to you out there tonight?
Back is fine.
Mark Kisla, Denver Post.
Hey, Coach, Will Barton gave you a little jolt early. I know it's on minutes restrictions. What more can you? How much more can you utilize Will going forward?
Yeah, that was probably the only silver lining to a really rough night all the way around, kids, was Will Barton, who hasn't played in over 7 weeks. And his first game goes out there, gives you 10 and 3, and gave us a bolt of energy in that first half. Makes a 3, blocks a shot, and he hated me when I took him out because he reached his minute restriction, and I understand that. I just told our players it's embarrassing that a guy that hasn't been able to play for 7 weeks was out there leaving it all on the line, and I don't think anybody else did. This was an embarrassing performance from myself all the way through the last player. We're walking out of here with our heads held down, rightfully so. And there's a reason that their crowd is yelling Suns in 4, and they're calling for a sweep, because if we play like this back in Denver, this is going to be a really quick series.
Ashley Neville, Mile High Sports.
Hey, Coach. Chris Paul had 15 assists and 0 turnovers tonight. I know that, as you mentioned before, that you coached him in the past and what he brings to the game, but what are you seeing from him, and why isn't he able to ever be stopped?
Well, yeah, he's a great player. He's one of the greatest to ever do it at that position. I think game 1 he had 11 assists, only 1 turnover. So obviously Chris Paul doesn't see us, he doesn't feel us, and we're not impacting what he's trying to do in any way, shape, or form, Ashley. And I think you could say that pretty much for the Phoenix Suns roster. They've had their way with us on both ends of the court. I felt we quit tonight, which is something you never want to see. So I guess for game 3, I'm just going to try to find guys that will at least go out there and leave it all on the line. I may have a hard time coming up with 5 guys that fill that, but these 2 games, these second halves, have really been disappointing, and that's an understatement.
Brandon Cristal, KOA Denver.
Coach, with so many things frustrating you, and understandably so, do you focus more on the emotional energy, that type of stuff, or more X's and O's over the next 45 hours or whatever?
Yeah, well, I think it's probably a combination. You always have to look at the X's and O's side of it, what we're not doing well, why we continue to make some of the same mistakes over and over and over, which is beyond me. When you spent 3 days leading up to game 1, you spent all day yesterday and this morning going into game 2, and guys seem to have a really hard time understanding what they're supposed to be doing. And doing things that we've done before, so it's not like it's something new. But then as you mentioned, there's also the emotional side of it and the intangibles. Literally, I saw guys say, "I'm not making shots tonight. I'm just going to walk around and mope, and my body language is going to be poor." And I felt that was the 5 guys on the court, that was the 12 guys on the sideline. We had no juice, no energy, no passion, no fight, no urgency, no grit. Come up with whatever adjective you want to use. We did not have it. And you can't use, hey, we're going home for game 3 as something you're going to rely upon. And we have a great crowd, but if we play like this, they're going to boo us off the court, and rightfully so.
All right, that'll do it for tonight. Thank you, Coach.
I just want to give each of you a chance to respond to what we just heard from Mike.
Well, I've worked with Mike Malone my first 3 years. Shooter, great coach. He knows his team. We've talked about this before. He knows his team. He knows when they're not performing up to their level, and he knows when they are. And tonight, obviously, that was one of those cases where expected more, wanted more, and got less. And and I think it's understandable to think, oh, we're going to go back home and we're going to play better. And you still have to bring it. The game is won or lost on the court, regardless of where you play. And when they go back to Denver, they have to correct the mistakes they made in Phoenix, in addition to making shots and feeding off of the crowd. The crowd's not going to get going unless they play better. And that's his messaging today. They need to play better,
right,
regardless of where they're playing.
Like you just said, if we play like this, we'll get booed off our own court, and rightfully so.
Well, I think what Coach is doing, look, Mike Malone's not stupid. He understands they're at a disadvantage. You don't have Jamal Murray. You don't have your starting